know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's, mental model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's, mental model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. That's the Dr. Michael Green.
When's the last time someone said thanks for checking over your shoulder before changing lanes? Or gave you a pat on the back for sticking to the speed limit? Or a thumbs up for not tailgating? Probably never. Which is too bad considering safe drivers make the roads safer for everyone. That's why Allstate appreciates safe drivers like no one else. And they show it by saving you 45% or more, along with giving you safe driving bonus checks, deductible rewards, and extra discounts with the DriveWise app. So the next time you come to a complete stop in an intersection, ask yourself, why haven't I switched to Allstate?
The Brandeo Insurance Group, your local DMV Allstate agent, can help you save 45% or more for driving safely. Call him at 410-424-0844 and get a quote today.
It pays to drive safely. Call a local Allstate agent today and find out how you can save 45% or more. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, good evening. And Happy New Year. All right, hey, you're back for another week of My Brother's Keeper. We've been gone the last 2 weeks due to the Christmas and New Year holiday, but we're back for the new year. I'm Bryan Champion. I'm sitting in for Michael Green today. I'm here with Ed Lee, and actually, Dr. Green is joining us by telephone. He's actually in Atlanta, Georgia at the CME Pastors Conference, along with the Founders Day from Phillips School of Theology at the International Denominational Theological Center. So he's going to be joining us by phone, but we just want to say Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year,
missed
everyone.
you the last couple of weeks, and we're glad that you came back to share with us and join us. Dr. Mike? You hearing us?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Yes, I am.
All right. We tried to use some technology today to do something new where we bring him in on the screen. We weren't able to do that, but out of dear respect for our brother, you notice there's a missing seat right here in the middle where he would normally be, where he's the rock of My Brother's Keeper. And so, Brother Ed and I are filling in, holding it down for him.
We're going to try to hold it down.
But we still recognize that he's here with us. Ain't that right, bro? So, good to see you.
Same here.
We had a chance to spend a little bit of time over the holidays.
That's
I saw
right,
you
that's
and your
right.
son and everything. So it was great. And so New Year and last year this time was the first time I ever did a show.
So it's like an anniversary.
Yeah, this is the anniversary show. Last year I came on New Man, New Year. And so we talked about New Year's resolutions and making commitments to change our lives in the new year. Okay. So, we're still, running with that theme. And today we're going to do a little bit more talking about, how we can, springboard past into the present and how we can continue to grow our lives through commitment to rededication, and how looking at the lessons that we learned from one scenario helps us to be prepared to be successful in the next one.
That's good stuff.
So, Dr. Mike, before we...
I can't wait, brother. I can't wait.
So, listen, from Atlanta, Georgia, give us an update on what's going on at the CME Pastors Conference.
Welcome, everybody. And thank you guys for joining in. We're over here at the Phillips School of 23rd Pastors Conference and Founders 76th annual celebration. Definitely, man, it's a blast, and which is, as you can hear, I'm supposed to really be in session, but I kind of got the excuse the show tonight, but I definitely, man, the session thus far has been very powerful, man, and profound, and we're ready to rock and roll with everything, man. The show, I'm honored to bring the show to you as something that we're doing in the future, where we're going to be broadcasting from many other locations. But right now, man, it is so powerful. You got preachers from every district here, from as far as Africa, Jamaica, Haiti Conference, and of course all in America, from the East Coast to the West Coast, where I came from. So, it's powerful, man, powerful.
So, man, you live in international just like the show, right?
I'm saying that again, brother.
You live in international just like the show, East Coast, West Coast. Yeah. So we do want to take a moment to acknowledge Sister Beverly Session, our executive producer, and offer condolences to she and her family as in the loss of a loved one in Las Vegas, and she's away tending to family business. And Dr. Green went out to Vegas and spent a little time with the family and ministered to them as we try to do, as we are our brother and our sister's keeper, because we believe in acknowledging the community. So we just want to lift her and her family up in prayer.
Right. Our prayers are with you, Beverly, for you and your family at this time, and safe travels back to D.C. whenever you get finished your family business.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. We sent out our condolences to the family. Definitely, when I left, they were as well as expected, I'll say. And Sister Session should have been leading out today, but definitely father who has left 4 sons behind. And but the awesomeness of, even at the funeral, the 4 sons gathered around the casket, and the men covered the sons, came up and prayed over the sons. So it was, man, so powerful. God really moved.
Wow.
Because again, there's nothing like a father. And when you talk about when does a man stop needing his father, a man never stops needing his father. I don't care how old that man becomes, he'll always need his father, because again, we always need that validation from that male presence. And so definitely powerful service, and God was glorified. And I'm just happy to be back on the East Coast. Next stop home. Brother, I am tired. My body is going through some withdrawals of being up on crazy time, 3 hours difference, 5-hour difference, and Vegas is 4.5 to 5 hour difference. But had to come back on the East Coast now, trying to sleep and waking up at crazy times, and I just kind of went and got some sugar, so a cake or two.
Yeah, get a little boost, a sugar boost.
Now, me and Ed spent a little time in Vegas a couple of years ago, so we know how getting used to the time changes can be. Actually, in some places, it never gets dark, and they never have a clock in any of the rooms.
Yeah, tough transition.
Not at all.
Yeah, tough transition.
That's right. That's right.
For real.
Well, one thing I was thinking, if Dr. Mike was here today, the first thing he would have said is he would say, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is a Tony the Tiger Terrific Tuesday. So then he would go on and he would welcome Bishop James B. Walker, presiding prelate of the 7th Episcopal District, who is actually in Atlanta, Georgia with you right now, and also our presiding elder, Reverend Kevin Jerome A.G. He would also say, welcome to Dallas, Fort Worth, to Atlantic City, New Jersey, Hartford, Connecticut, and also
Las Vegas,
Nevada. That's right, Las Vegas,
Los
the
Angeles,
Carolinas,
California,
Africa, and the UK. So we just want to welcome all of you all who join us.
Thank you so
time.
much. Yeah.
And as we start a new year, any New Year resolutions, guys?
I'll let Brother Lee go ahead and do his resolution. Go ahead, Brother Lee.
Well, I don't really have resolutions. I try to do better than I did last time.
All right.
And sometimes that can be a challenge, but, that's kind of a segue as to some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. What can we do, or lessons learned in 2018 that make you a better man in 2019?
Well, that's true. Continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement. And as I was coming home from work, I was prompted by the Spirit with the word evolution. And the definition is the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. And I thought that's what we all need to be doing, is evolving. Being better than we were, getting better than we were, and making those small adjustments to be better men in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
And some of those evolutions include, it's kind of like if you don't evolve, then you'll be, what's the term, extinct?
That's
think
right.
Like the way of the dinosaur and the dodo bird, because they didn't evolve or they didn't make those course corrections or changes in their lives. They wound up, not existing any longer.
That's true.
And that's what we need to do as we move from 2018 and 2019, if you want to call them resolutions or making these life changes. We need to evolve to be better men.
No, you're absolutely right. And the thing is that as good as we may have been at any point in our life, the world changes around us. And if we're not willing to change with the world, we get left behind.
Oh, you ain't said nothing, brother.
Yeah.
I think about, a family member who, I won't say he refuses to get Facebook, but he's not savvy or doesn't want to. So I won't say he's being left behind, but from a social media perspective, he's missing out on a lot of opportunities and things that occur, in our society because he won't make that evolvement to take and, like I say, accept the fact that, Facebook is a way of, and social media is a way of the future.
Well, you're absolutely right. And the funny thing is, I was that guy last year. So it was after an episode of this show. I had a Facebook account, but I didn't have any connections. And it was after that I got all these connections and so forth. So I started delving out into the Facebook world, which I had never done before. And actually, ironically enough, Sister Yvonne Patterson from Buffalo, New York, hopefully she's watching the show tonight, sent me a friend request today, and she became my 860th friend in 1 year. But the information that I'm pulling in from all of these minds have been so great. Because there's so many dynamic people that I'm interfacing with. I'm learning so much. So everybody's worried about being protective of what they're putting out there and not recognizing that there's a bundle of information that you can be receiving in that can be a blessing unto you, that can grow your mind and help you evolve into somebody new.
Exactly. And that's good. But, like I say, you have to make the decision to want to change.
I totally agree.
You could have stayed where you were, Bryan, and you would have had, one Facebook friend maybe, and not over 800 now.
Right.
And you would have missed out on so many opportunities, so many social media experiences in terms of invitations to events, connecting with friends. One of my Facebook experiences was I got a message from a cousin that said, "Are you Francis's," which is my mother, "are you Francis's son?" And found out it was my cousin.
Wow.
And we connected through Facebook, and she eventually wound up living with me for a few months. She's a traveling nurse, Stephanie. If you're out there, hello. We became Facebook friends, and she wound up staying with me while she did a nursing assignment.
Oh, that's
so yeah. It was kind of nice to connecting with family through social media. But if I had denied the opportunity to evolve or make the change, then I would have missed out, not just with my cousin Stephanie, but with so many other opportunities that are out there. And this is just a small example using Facebook or social media to explore, opportunities and, things that are out there for us to grow and learn and connect with the outside world. I mean, this is 2019. And like I say, things are changing, and we have to change with the times, like they say.
No, you're absolutely right. So it's a time where I wanted to go into the bank for everything. I didn't want to use my debit card. I didn't want to use the ATM machine. I just didn't trust it. And now the bottom line is, it's more difficult to use cash than it is to use your card. And if you're at that point, then you just got to. It's going to be a harder transition for you to take care of business if you aren't willing to get into the e-commerce.
Right. How many people out there that, still write checks or do banking, at the teller, or pay bills by, putting a check in an envelope and putting a stamp and putting it in the mailbox.
Right.
It's almost like in the U.S. Postal Service is almost out of business because people don't use stamps or use the Postal Service as much as they used to, because a lot of people are paying bills and doing things online now.
Oh, definitely. Hit the button. To be able to, send somebody a message and they get it instantly, rather than the old days when we used to have to wait. I remember sending people letters, and it would take them a week to get it. It would take them a week to write me back, and then another week for me to get it. And it was 3 weeks would go by. So by the time I heard their response, sometimes so much had happened in between, it was irrelevant and wasn't even important anymore.
Right, exactly. But we mentioned the comments about the U.S. Postal Service. Bryan, I think you wanted to mention something about the furlough.
Yeah.
Earlier we talked about the furlough. So if you want to say something, I'm going to try to dial Mike back in.
Yeah, so definitely. He's still on the phone? Okay.
He's still on.
Oh, he's on line one?
Okay.
Hey, we thought we lost you, but we got you back.
Okay.
All right.
I'm still here.
Okay, great. So yeah, that's one thing we did want to talk about a little bit.
This is a better connection.
Okay,
All right.
great.
All right.
See, that's technology at its best. So,
I feel more engaged now.
for many of us who are in the DMV, we're right in the middle of the effects of the government partial shutdown, which has gone on for now, I think, 17 days.
Almost 3 weeks,
since December the 23rd, I believe, is when the shutdown officially took place. I've spent 37 years of federal service in the government. You've had quite a few years of government
almost 20 years in the federal government.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, we are...
Thank you.
We are civil servants who have been very committed to the work of our public service and dedication to this nation and everything from that perspective. But the shutdown bothers me because I kind of wonder, I'm not trying to be a Democrat or Republican in my statement, but what I'm saying is where I really felt that our president made an error in his judgment is when he said that the employees who are currently being furloughed and not being paid understand what's going on and support his cause.
And I don't think that's really true.
No.
I don't think that's true. And I was looking at some information yesterday about the president's approval rating. And it's not good at all. It's not good at all.
No,
I mean, you're talking about 49 states, and the people that voted for him. Like I say, this isn't a political show. It's just the climate of where we are in society today. That the president can make decisions that have an effect on thousands of people's lives and livelihoods. So, we're taking the posture, and I'd like to take the posture of Bryan and Pastor Mike doesn't mind, is that we need to remember that, the government is not our source, and that God is our provider and should be our provider. And he uses the government to provide our ways and means for us to pay bills. But the government was never meant to be a source for us. If we're Christians, it should be God that supplies our needs according to his riches and glory. So we need to stay focused on making sure that, we give him the glory for, providing those resources for us. And I just, my heart and my prayers go out to those who are still under that partial shutdown and not collecting those paychecks. But once again,
you're absolutely right. And that's I feel empathy for those individuals, because both you and I are not affected by the partial shutdown.
No.
So we're not speaking out of anger about how it's affecting us. However, what I think is important is that the president is getting fake news. He's getting information that has led him to believe that these furloughed and government workers support what he's doing. And I just want to say, Mr. President, if you are listening to this broadcast, before you go on the air at 9 o'clock this afternoon or this evening, understand that I'm coming from the worker bee level. I'm coming from the public level of and the sentiments of public servants across this nation who are dedicated to the mission of the United States of America and who have been committed to ensuring that this country remains the best country. That having a furlough over a political situation is not one that is in the best interest of our nation.
Thank you. Well,
and we just want to say that to you, Mr. President, and we want you to know that this is not about political party. This is not about ethnicity. This is not about anything other than what is best for the American people. And as I sit here today, I want you to know that we need to move forward, bring government workers back to work, and allow them to do what they need to do to protect our country, and allow the politicians to work out these situations on their own. Please do not hold the American people hostage over a political ploy.
Pastor Mike, anything you want to comment on?
Hey, I'm just, I'm not going to say I'm perplexed, but I am saddened by the way that he has held the American people hostage for his own personal agenda. And my opinion as a simple American is that I'm very sad that he chose this avenue to push his agenda forward. And we need to really rise up. And one of the things that I'll do as a new year come in, not so much as a resolution, but something that was brought to my attention that as I was thinking is that create more voters. Right now, Maryland, Florida, many of the states have allowed ex-felons to vote again. And so I'll be out relentlessly to push it forward. That agenda, a personal agenda of mine, is to get as many ex-felons registered as possible. So I want to know, are you registered to vote? Are you registered to vote? Men everywhere, are you registered to vote? Because again, many states are overturning and writing new legislation to allow the voices of ex-felons who have paid their debt to society to get back in the arena to make their voice known to the American people. But I'm very saddened to see this come about, where our TSA agents are calling out because they're not getting paid. And so much is going on right now. The zoos and the public museums in Washington, many people have flown in from other countries, and the bathrooms are not even open so that they can relieve themselves. I mean, just the smallest of things, because it shows you that people matter. People do matter. So I'm very saddened of this administration, although I've never been a fan of it. But again, you're right, Brother Lee, this is not a political show, but yet still we are in a place where we call a thing, and
right.
Be the light. And no, the government is not our source. God is our source. So I'm very sad, and my prayers go out to all of the government workers everywhere.
Amen.
All right.
Amen. So, and before we get into our topic, I just want to make one other comment as it relates to our government. Pastor Mike, you and I had the opportunity to celebrate with Congresswoman Jahana Hayes this past weekend as she was sworn in and took her seat into Congress. So we were very blessed to have an opportunity to attend her prayer service that she had in celebration of her taking office, as well as other events that went on. I actually even had a chance to host a group this weekend. A busload came down from Waterbury, Connecticut, and Hartford to share with her, and so I had that opportunity to spend time with that group and in their travels, and they got back home safely.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Champion, just want to give a shout out to Sister Carol Black Henderson, Tarina Winbush-Williams, and Sister Frances Neptune, Michael Bell, and Dr. Sonia Price-Brown for joining tonight.
Oh, yeah. So thank you all for joining us. You know, that's something that Dr. Mike does. He sits there and he's interacting with everybody. You know, I'm not as technology savvy, so I'm not looking at who's on the screen. See, I can't look at the screen and talk at the same time. So we appreciate Dr. Mike for keeping us up with who's on the line, and we appreciate you all for tuning in, starting your year off right with My Brother's Keeper. So thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much for dialing in. And remember, it's not just about Brothers Keepers. The show's open to males and females. So welcome, ladies.
That's right, because you know what? You know, brothers, we can't be kept that well sometime without a little sister's help. You know, I'm just going to keep it real with you, you know. Right. We get together and we start thinking, and all of a sudden, we all come up with the same answer, and then you interject a woman into the scenario, and all of a sudden, we see things through a different lens. So we appreciate our sisters as they help keep the brothers as well.
We appreciate it. Definitely. We need that filter sometimes to keep us on point. So, again, welcome.
So, you know, as we move into today's topic, you know, we wanted to talk a little bit about the ups and downs of 2018. We started off last year with the new man, the new year, resolutions. We talked about achieving our goals. All of them didn't get done. Certain things we got sidetracked on, certain things we just kind of didn't work out the way we wanted it to work out. But all in all, God gave us a message through it all that brought us into 2019 with a renewed vision to be able to complete our future. Right. And so as we talk about that, we want to just kind of talk about the fact that through it all, there's lessons that we learn in 2018 that are going to help us be better men in 2019.
Well, you know, 2019's here, and we're still here.
That's right.
And until we check out, then there's always time to make changes and grow and develop and be better than we were the previous year.
Absolutely. We can't let being sidetracked or some setbacks stop us from continuing to look forward.
To move forward.
But we
right,
can take those setbacks and those sidetracks as opportunities to build upon. Well, now we have a platform where we see things different. We got a new lens. We're a little taller because we got more foundation. So now we're in better shape to see what's next. And so when we look at it that way, rather than focusing on what didn't happen, rather than focusing on what happened to make us greater,
right,
then we realize that we can achieve new things and greater things.
Well, you talked about being in better shape. I don't know about what type of shape you're talking about, but, you know, round is still a shape in my book, so I'm still round at this point. I'm working on some things, but, you know, and maybe losing a pound or two is not a bad thing. You got to put that on the list. A lot of people want to lose weight and go to the gym and make resolutions.
Dr. Champion, if I may, Dr. Champion.
Yes.
Why is it that we feel oftentimes we have to have it together? Why do you think that that's the facade we put on before the people, that we always have to have it together?
Well, you know, and that's true. And I think that's one of the reasons that sometimes we can put too much pressure on ourselves to look right and to be right, instead of just being who we are and accepting who we are, and also to be willing to admit those side steps and those setbacks. And sometimes we want to pretend like they didn't happen and keep moving forward without owning them. And when we don't own them, we're really haven't situated ourselves to use a lesson learned.
So
that's a good way of showing that we have not arrived, and we're able to be transparent to other people in a place of iron sharpening iron. If I've fallen, if I haven't succeeded, the mere fact that I haven't means that I need, or I'm dependent upon God help to help me to navigate through to be successful, that it will bring that to my spirit, where it'll confirm in my spirit that I'm moving to the next level, I'm moving to the next place. I think that is so important.
I agree with you totally. So we have to recognize where we are, and we have to recognize our reality.
And I like the way you put that. You know, you have to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And you have to be real with yourself. And if you aren't able to do your, self-evaluation to say, I need to change, I need to be better, then that's the first problem.
I agree with you.
You have to recognize and be transparent and be real. And that's part of the issue is we want to do so much, and the question becomes, why do we change? Or, why do we want to keep up with the Joneses? Or why do we want to compare ourselves to others? Where I like to say, if two people were exactly alike, or two people were doing the exact same thing, then one's not necessary. God didn't create us to be twins. Even twins have are not similar.
Right.
They may look alike, they may talk alike, they may, have the same, identical look, but they don't think the same. And you have to be comfortable in being who you are.
In recognizing the difference, I believe that we rob God of his uniqueness, because when we understand who we are, our identity is clothed in God's divinity. So when I'm in that space of understanding that uniqueness, I celebrate my difference. You know what I'm saying? I don't celebrate the similarities I have with an individual, because we're all here for a set purpose. And once you understand your purpose, that God's vision, then you celebrate the uniqueness of your difference.
So
that's good.
So the thing is when you really look at some of the basic tendencies of human, one is to associate themselves with people like them. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that's where comfort comes in. That's where security comes in. So when they see themselves as being different, they often don't accept it, because their natural inclination is to try to be like the group. Yeah. So it has to come as intentional and purposeful to celebrate your differences, recognize your differences, and be comfortable with them. And what we also have to do is, when we see people working out their uniqueness, we can't try to, bring them back in the fold and say, no, that's the way we do it here. So we actually put pressure on them when they do try to step outside of that box.
And I like the way you put that. And it's almost like, I talked about the word evolution earlier, and it's the same thing when you have to communicate with different people, and especially with the Generation X and the millennials. I mean, just because people don't do things the way you would doesn't mean it's wrong.
Absolutely.
And you have to embrace those differences, those changes, and accept the way people do things. I mean, I'm an old school kind of guy, baby boomer, but, everybody has their own unique style and their own approach. And as long as they get results and get things done, then that's what you need to celebrate, is their uniqueness. And like you say, the way they think outside the box.
Right.
And so many people want to keep you in the box.
That's right. It's like if you put a candle in a box, nobody ever sees its light. So if you put a human in a box, you never get a chance to see the light of their uniqueness.
Exactly. So, and sometimes we need to stay in our own lanes to let them figure it out. So often, if someone's not doing it the way we want them to, we want to chastise them and, like I say, put them back in the box. But sometimes we just got to just let them grow. Let them develop. Mm-hmm. Let them fall down and get some scrapes and get some bruises. But that's how you learn. That's how you develop. That's how you grow. Right. That's how we celebrate their uniqueness. Give you enough, slack and latitude. Give you and equip you with some encouragement and a little push. And sometimes you'll fall, but you'll get back up, but you'll learn.
That's right.
That's how babies learn to walk. They fall a few times and they stumble, but eventually they get it. And we need to support our brothers and sisters out there that sometimes they fall, but we can't beat them up because they fall.
That's right.
Or because they make a mistake. We need to embrace them, provide encouragement, and keep pushing them. Because sooner or later, they're going to replace us.
Right. And I wonder how many people...
You can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you haven't gone. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
So
there you go.
In that space of understanding the uniqueness, one must understand their own uniqueness to be able to share or identify within another individual their uniqueness. So therefore,
That's good, Pastor. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and we have to just recognize too that, you know, we are a community, and the only way a community grows is for us to grow together. One person can't grow, and the rest of.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think that that's oftentimes why, speaking of men, why we don't share our failures? Because I don't think failures. I don't even use failure anymore. You know, I just look at it as a challenge. But do you think that many men don't share their challenges because even with the onset of the new year, we set ourselves up with that pressure of having and wanting and the society telling us to change, as opposed to moving in the scriptures of, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And he said all these things will be added unto us. So now I'm in my God space, seeking his kingdom and his righteousness. Now he's adding those things that once I was chasing, now those things begin to chase me. But do you think our society put a burden on us by changing, and then when we don't, it becomes failure, and therefore we go in a little hole and we cuddle up because we've fallen from a place where we haven't succeeded?
Well, I mean, when you say the word, you know, our failures, so oftentimes men internalize that, and we dig ourselves in our own hole to say, if I failed, I'm going to stop trying. Or do I take the risk to open up and continue because I'm not getting the potential support or the encouragement behind the failures? Sometimes when we make a mistake, instead of somebody saying, hey, you made a mistake, you did something wrong, let me show you the right way, they just leave you in the hole where you were and let you continue to fail. And sometimes the biggest thing that needs to come behind failure is encouragement.
Right.
You know, Pastor, you messed up this time, but let me point you in the right direction and then support you as you turn the corner from failure. So you're not internalizing the failure, but now you're starting to open up and be more transparent with yourself to say, hey, I recognize I messed up. And if you will forgive me for messing up, I can make the necessary adjustments so I don't mess up as much. Because we're still imperfect beings and we still make mistakes, and none of us are perfect. You know, as long as we're in this human body, we'll make mistakes. But we get better over time. You know, I hollered at somebody in traffic today. Well, the next day, the same situation may occur. Are you going to blow the horn and then snap because you're having a bad day in traffic? No, next day you may get better. And the next day it gets better. So over time, you know, our failures become small successes. And then you build upon that.
One thing, too, I think we have to have somewhat of a paradigm shift in some of our thinking sometimes around non-achievements. Because every non-achievement isn't a failure. And so sometimes when we don't accomplish what we set out to accomplish, we automatically want to tag it as a failure rather than looking at it as the success that it was. It may not be the full success, but if we've done something to better ourselves or better our community or better our lives, then we've done something positive.
Right.
But oftentimes, just because we didn't get it to 100%, we walk away thinking that it was a failure. And so we have to look back at that. And again, like you said, you go back and you reflect. And now, how can we continue the path, or how can we do it different next time in order that we continue to, achieve and move forward?
Yeah.
And I think that's what when we look at what went wrong in 2018, that's one of the things, or where we didn't have all of the successes that we wanted to have, or some of them where the successes were so great that it's like, okay, I'm building on that and I'm going to keep moving forward. And so it's like you say, it's that keeping that positive focus of looking ahead rather than looking back at what didn't happen.
Right, and I like the way you put that. I'm writing some notes down here, and it's how do you celebrate those small victories?
That's right.
You know, And listen, some people call it taking those baby steps. I messed up yesterday, but today I'm not going to mess up. Or, I drank 10 cups of coffee today and I'm trying to cut back, and tomorrow I may drink 8. But I got better.
Yes, exactly.
And by February, I may be drinking 5 cups of coffee a day. And then I'm cutting back. So I'm celebrating the victory that I'm not drinking 10 cups of coffee now. I'm down to 5. So I have to recognize those baby steps. And like you said, Bryan, I'm not there completely. Sometimes we can't make those monumental changes overnight to be 100%. But we need to move the needle to go from 30 to 60 before we get to 100-fold.
That's right. And sometimes our goal is unrealistic if we don't have a plan to incrementally get to that goal. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that. Actually, we talked about that this time last year when we were talking about that's why project plans have milestones, so that you can celebrate the achievement through the middle. If you have a 3-year plan and you don't celebrate until the 3rd year, you get discouraged through many places.
Years 1 and 2, right?
But what you do is you set those smaller goals, you set those smaller milestones, and then recognize and celebrate because you do see the needle moving.
Right, and that's how you, like I say, you shift those lessons learned from 2018 into 2019, and you celebrate those small victories. And sometimes it can be a little tough, but you got to surround yourself with the right people too.
Right.
It's they say it's like math. You add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I don't know if you heard this before, but those are the type of people you need to have in 2019. People that add and multiply in your life.
Right.
And for those people that are subtracting and dividing in your life, maybe in 2019 you need to start cutting some of those people off.
Right. Yeah.
If you have a Facebook page and you got 1,000 friends, and the only time they want to post something is some crazy news or some crazy pictures, then maybe those are some people you need to cut off. But if you're celebrating those victories and people get behind you and say, "Great job, Bryan. Great job, Pastor Mike. You did it, man. I celebrate your accomplishments," then those are the people you need to keep around in 2019.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Mm-hmm. So, and we're kind of getting down to the last 15 minutes or so, and I did want to talk a little bit about some of the lessons learned in 2018. Pastor Mike, anything in particular that stands?
I'm still here, brother.
Huh?
I said I'm still here.
Okay, anything that stands out?
Some of the successes or some of the things that I've learned through last year. Actually, it was very hard for me on the passing of my father, and that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to let go and be transparent. It's okay to talk with people about your pain and inner suffering that you the result of a lost one. And I don't think things happen coincidentally that I went to minister a word to a family who lost their father. There were sons. And so therefore, when I went to minister, I also began to discover more and more hurt that I had not known that I was carrying around. And I was able to bring some things to resolve. So don't beat yourself up over, because you're not over something as quickly as other people think you should be over it. You must give yourself a chance to breathe and grieve. And even afterwards, I was able to attend a David Copperfield show, a magician, the Grand Illusionist. And this brother, he ministered. I don't think he knew that he ministered to my spirit when he was talking about his father and how his father taught him to continue to believe and live the impossible, not based upon what somebody else say, but what God has spoken in your spirit. But I mean, this trip here has been so it was so much confirmation in it and healing, and God thankful for being able to bring resolve in the early months of 2019, but not so much a failure, but not being patient with yourself and forgiving of yourself, and let yourself go through the process of healing so that you can be whole. And that's one thing that we always talk about on the show, is being whole and being healed and healthy as men.
Amen.
Wow, awesome. You mentioned the word patience, and that's what I'm trying to develop more of from the transition from 2018 to 2019. And I'm learning that larger blessings take more time to develop their roots. And the roots will grow beneath the surface, so you won't be able to see them for a long time.
That's right.
Because they're growing.
That's right.
Because it's going to be a big blessing in 2019. So when it finally cracks the surface of the earth and starts to grow, the wind and the rain and all the crazy stuff won't be able to have that big effect on your blessing, because the roots were growing down so deep. So
Lee, you bring to my mind the story of the Karate Kid, when Danielson went to Mr. Miyagi and he wanted to learn karate. And then he turned around and he took him out to the old junkyard and told him to wax on the cars. And he said, Danielson, wax on this way with both hands, this way, in a circular motion. And he wound up waxing the cars. And then he said, now take them off. And so Danielson was so infuriated because he didn't think he learned anything. And so he said, I'm done with this. And then Mr. Miyagi told him, Danielson, wax off. And so he said, wax on. And then he turned around and he blocked his hit. And then he did it with the left hand. Danielson, wax on. And the same thing he did with wax off, the right hand and the left hand. But he had been teaching him to block hits and to make hits offensively. So what I say is, don't get frustrated when what you think is not working. When God gives us instruction to do, just do it. He's developing spiritual muscles within us. So we got to keep going in spite of the pain, in spite of the burning and the sun and the heat. We got to keep going. In the end, we'll be able to wax off just as much as we waxed on.
Amen. Look at you. You ready to preach down there at that pastor's conference, Doc?
I'm getting ready to jump up and do some karate kicks, man. That's good stuff there. I'm getting ready.
Wax off.
All right.
Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. That's good. You know, so that's what I'm trying to develop, being more patient in 2019. I know the blessing's coming, and it's already here, but to have the full manifestation, it takes time. It takes time. And everything is made perfect in God's time. And I need to be in sync with God's time and not my own time. This isn't Burger King and to have it my way and go through the drive-through and I want my blessing right here, right now. I needed it yesterday. No, I need to. And James 1, chapter 1, verse 4 says, but let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire or whole and complete, wanting nothing. So that's where I'm at. I'm at the stage where I'm saying, okay, God, I'll wait. I'll let those roots grow. I'll let the tree get stronger. So when the blessing comes, nothing can stop it.
Amen. Amen. Mm-hmm. You make some really strong biblical statements there when you talk about God's time versus man time, and the kairos rather than the chronos. See, we've been operating in chronos all of our lives, and we can't understand how kairos is. And if we sometimes just kind of get ourselves in sync and synced with God, then we can learn how to operate in kairos and have a kairotic moment for every now and then. Yeah.
Oh, see, now you think you're going to preach at the conference now, brother?
No. Pastor Green been out of town. I kind of said to him, I said, hey, Pastor Green, since you're out of town, don't you need somebody to say you a little something? So, you see, he'll like that.
One thing when you said that whole kairos, it connects us from the chronos, it connects us to the kairos. That's the eternal place of God, and that's that spirit in truth, and we achieve that place through worship. That's why he said, you shall worship me in spirit and in truth. So when we enter into that space, our body may be connected to the chronos, but our spirit has connected eternally in the kairos. And he begins to download in us that patience, that joy, that endurance to go through, continue to get back up and continue to face another day. Not because we want to, but because God had a moment with us, because we dared to minister and worship the spirit and in truth.
Ooh.
right.
Yeah, that's good. And we also need to focus that, we are spirit first. Spirit man first.
That's right.
And the connection should always be spirit first. And then the natural man. And if we look from that perspective, then we'll have and we'll live heaven on earth, where there is no time, where is, the time splitter. When Jesus came, he became the time splitter and split, BC and AD, before his birth and after he, was crucified. So, then time will not matter to us.
That's
because we'll be living in the realm of eternity, where time has no bearing or factor on us. So.
Right. That's so true. Mm-hmm. And I'll just say this, and it's interesting that both of you talked about the need to, or the desire, and the lessons that you learned in this past year to deal around patience. Because the one thing that I felt that God spoke to me in this past year that's going to propel me into the next year is to wait. And it seems like, and we just talked about how you have to align yourself with God. And I always say this, and Pastor Mike laughs at me sometimes when I say this, but I listen to sports talk radio, and I listen to gospel, and I try not to listen to the other songs too much as I'm traveling from one place to another. In my car, if I'm not listening to sports talk radio, I'm listening to the gospel, because what you put in is what comes out.
Right.
And I just felt like during this time when I was struggling with some major issues, certain songs just kept playing, and God, see again, allowing God to get into your spirit, and by allowing Him to get into your spirit, I kept hearing the message of waiting. Wait upon the Lord and renew your strength. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I felt I was down and out, but it was that wait that gave me the patience, because stuff wasn't happening as fast as I wanted
when
it to.
you wanted it to happen.
That's right.
Right.
And then I also heard someone say, "I'm glad God waited for me." And God could have moved on and went and dealt with somebody else, but God waited for me to get it together. And because God waited and allowed me that opportunity, I began to see new visions. And some of the things that didn't happen or wasn't happening for me, because I waited, all of a sudden those same things that I was waiting to happen opened up new doors. And the most interesting thing about it was that the results were greater. They were greater than what I was looking for and what I ever imagined.
Wow.
And I learned patience. I learned to wait for God to speak to me and for God to tell me to move. And that's the lesson I learned in 18 that's going to make 19 even more awesome.
Oh, my goodness. That's good stuff right there.
Yes, sir.
You just want to run on down.
But then isn't it just amazing how when you sit here and talk with friends that God has spoke the same message to them, and it's important to understand that, because see, we talk about associating yourself with people who are evenly yoked in a like mind and like spirit and like mind, and so God puts us together as a family and a community of believers in order that we're able to continue to bless one another, encourage one another, and set each other up. So boys, y'all have blessed me today.
Wait till I tell you this, because the Bible tells us, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength.
That's right.
Bryan, you done mounted up like wings of eagles.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. Huh?
Keep soaring.
Oh, he's soaring now, man. I mean, because you waited.
That's right. And
oh, my gosh.
God said wait.
You will run and not be weary. You will walk and not faint.
Of an eagle, brother.
Whew.
Look how God, when He gives an example, He shall fall up and swing with wings as an eagle. Just know that He chose an eagle to compare you with, to say you are like an eagle, Doc. Like an eagle, you are soaring. And eagles, they soar, Doc. They soar. They can spot a fish in the ocean, man, and swoop down all at once. And they're about over 5 miles in the air. They're over 10 miles, 25 miles in the air, and they can swoop down and see that fish. Good God Almighty.
That's right. Doc, I'm so happy that we back for another year, that you invited me to be on the show with you last year and invited me to come back again. I'm so happy that Brother Ed Lee is here tonight. And let me tell y'all this, audience, my Brother Keeper Network, this is not going to be the last time you see Brother Ed Lee. As we're looking at reformatting, and I'll let Brother Mike make all those announcements when he gets back in here, but we're looking at reformatting where we're going to continue to bring some of the best minds and some of the best personalities to this program to give you the best information, the best dialogue that you can get. So we're committed to that in the new year, and we're just God thankful for you and your presence. So I'm gonna give Ed any closing remarks, and then you, Dr. Mike.
One closing remark for 2019, and that's to utilize the tact of the soft no. You're going to have to be able to say no for some things in 2019, but be tactful about it. And remember that a no to someone else is a yes to yourself.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Hey, thank you so much, Brother Lee, for being a part of the show this evening. And I just want to say to the listening audience, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to please like and share. And we are putting new and greater things together to bring you the best content, more powerful authors that will be coming. And just stay tuned, because we're still living our best life. And I'm just God thankful to be able to share with you via telephone. And Dr. Champion, thank you so much. You've done an excellent job. And this is only a testimony of what is to come. Brother, I put a demand on your gift right now that you shall be greater, because I am expecting greater. Good God Almighty.
Yeah, hallelujah.
To see what God is going to do through you. I thank God for you coming on, and you being a part of the show and opening yourself up, being vulnerable, sharing with other men of hurts and pains, and that they just have to be transparent enough to receive the help that they deserve, that God said that they need. So again, all is well here down in Atlanta. God's mercy as I come back home. And always remember, when one man stand with another man, they become great.
Amen.
When good men stand together, that's it. When good men stand, they become great. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
And we are our brother's keeper. We are our brother's keeper.
Yes, we are.
Again, Dr. Champion, you can close it out, brother. But thank you, man. I greatly appreciate you, man. I love you. And I'll see you guys when I get back home to Washington, D.C.
All right. We love you too, man. Safe travels. And to all of you out there who took the time to share with us today, we appreciate you. We ask God's blessings to continue upon you, that you'll be back with us next week. If you want to see this again, the rebroadcast is Monday at 10 a.m. But you can find it again on Facebook, on the Amazon Fire Stick, through Roku. And so we just ask you to continue to pray for us as we continue to try to do what God has called us to do. Good night, everyone.
God bless.
God bless you, man.
My brothers keep a show.
All right, thank
I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show.